So my name's Chris Paines. This is my third camp teaching. It's the first time I've done this class camp. I'm basically going to be trying to describe to you what you do already, but have it in context, so you know where to apply it in other parts of your game. So I'm not actually going to teach anything this entire time. I'm just going to sit here and talk, kind of. I received my black belt from Preet, so I have to give him credit because I stole most of this off him. So the individual aspects, if you ask Preet, you will get plenty of this. Okay, so how to defend everything. We have an hour. I'm trying to now explain to you how to defend everything from guard passes, to chokes, to joint locks, to all positions in an hour. So quick question then. How would you describe control in Jiu-Jitsu? Like, what physical act has to happen for the definition of control? Anyone can answer? If you speak English, it makes it easier. Pins, shoulders, and hips, kind of. That doesn't really apply to guard. Like if you have guard, you're still controlling the other person. Control is, whoever's in control is the person who exists between the other person's knees and armpits. That is pretty much a definition of control in Jiu-Jitsu and grappling in general. If I'm in between your knees and armpits, I'm the person in control. So, Henry? There he is. So, for example, I'm in side control and Henry is on top. You would now pretty much describe Henry as the person in control. If Henry's on my back and he has hooks in, you would describe Henry as the person in control. So come around, God. If, however, I'm here, who would you define as the person in control? Me. Because where am I? In between his knees and armpits. Yes. So that's a definition of control in Jiu-Jitsu. Whoever exists between the other person's knees and armpits is usually the person in control. So as a basic defense against all control is if I can get him out of that space. We do this, we shrimp, we push people over, we do many things. Like the first thing you ever see a white belt do when they try and open up the closed guard is this. And they open it up and they do this. What have I done? I've got him out of the space between my knees and armpits. We do this. So all I'm trying to do now is change how you approach your defense and attack. So if you imagine a scale of martial arts, over here you have the true old school arts. Aikido, Kung Fu, etc., etc. Over here you have the sports, boxing and wrestling. Jiu-Jitsu, as we practice it right now, lives in the middle. These people here practice predicament solution. He does X, I do Y. He does a punch, I do a throw, etc. These people here don't do that, not until exceptionally down the line. They have a defensive posture and they fight out of it. So the first thing you learn in boxing is to cover your chin. The first thing you learn in wrestling is to cover your hips. We don't have that in Jiu-Jitsu. We should, it exists, but we don't have it. So we train like these fools, we do predicament solution. So your coach, sorry, I did these arts, I'm allowed to say it. We practice like these people, okay? Every time we have an issue in Jiu-Jitsu, there's a direct technique to deal with it. So if we do, for example, we say to our coach, Coach, someone passed me this way. How do I deal with this? Your coach is a fountain of knowledge, and they say, oh, you do this, this, and this. So for that exact circumstance in chaos of a roll, you have an answer in your big Rolodex of techniques. And then all of a sudden, Jiu-Jitsu becomes how much you know in this big, expansive Jiu-Jitsu, how much you have in your big book of Jiu-Jitsu techniques. Boxers and wrestlers don't have that. Like in boxing, there's like 5 punches. Like that's not a lot of techniques, okay? But the simple answer to not being punched in boxing is to cover your chin. Okay? So that's why 90% of boxing isn't punching. 90% of boxing is covering your chin. You then learn to throw your offense and return straight back to your defense. Okay? So all of a sudden it's not a question of knowledge, it's a question of timing. If you go to your coach in boxing and say, I got punched in the face, like the normal answer is, were you covering your chin? If the answer to that question is no, then I'm pretty sure I know what your problem was. We don't do that in jiu-jitsu. But there is a defensive posture, and it's guard. Because as we discovered earlier, control in jiu-jitsu is anytime someone exists between your knees and your armpits, okay? So I just don't let them there. That seemed like a really obvious answer. So anytime we play guard, anytime we let our knees leave our body in any sort of length, we are opening up and we have an appetite for risk. We understand the distance we have created, and we have a risk knowing that if someone gets past my knees into this gap, they're going to get me. But if I keep my knees super close to my shoulders, they'll never get control. So the first drill, and it's going to seem super obvious. You can take this like if you are very lucky to do pre-school chicken class. If you ever invite them, it's a great class. It has way more details than I'll show here. All I want you to do is go back, and I want you to, with your partner, try and pass their guard. Okay? Just an open guard. Here. Push on the bottom. Do everything you can to not let your knees leave your armpits. I don't care if it looks stupid as hell. Okay? Do not let your knees leave your armpits. I'm not going to demonstrate right now because I want you guys to come back, and then I'm going to demonstrate the idea. Okay? But I want you to feel this and come back with questions for me. Okay? So go away. One person in open guard here. And one person's just going to pass. And you're going to do everything to not go for a guard, okay? You're just going to maintain this position and not let them touch anywhere between here and here, okay? So if you have to push them away, hide it, ball up, I don't care, okay? Just hide that space. Make sense? Okay, have 2 minutes on that and we'll come back. Off you go. Thank you. That's okay. That makes sense. Did you feel like your guard was a bit harder to pass all of a sudden? Maybe. Like side control wasn't existing as much. Now I'm going to try and change your perception of how you look at jiu-jitsu, how you look at your guard. Okay? So all of a sudden, instead of having to understand how to kill certain passes, as in having a half guard, they're halfway past your half guard, and you have to learn to shut it down. And now you look at your guards like they're jabs and crosses, okay? They are different attacks, they're different punches. And every time you feel vulnerability, your appetite for risk has been tested, you bring your knees back. This is why you should have a effective open guard. This should be the guard you play on every day, okay? Imagine we shadow box open guard as our warm-up every class. 2 minutes, everyone on your back, and you shadow box. You learn to move with free hips. So you sit here, you get used to studying at what point you let your hips leave the floor, this gap opens. I mean, if you imagine a boxer, the difference between this and this is huge. Okay? This takes strength to hold. Okay? This is lip service to what you just saw. Okay? This is me tired, this is me no longer covering my chin. It's the same here. If I can keep my knees next to my armpits and have free movement of my hips, this is my footwork in boxing. If I leave my hips to touch the floor, this is just lip service. This is me tired. This is me now exposing this gap. This is me no longer having an effective defense for guard passing. So now whenever I look at my guards, they are jabs and crosses. I can either fight quite long, my equivalent of my chin up, or I can be very short. So if you imagine all the guards you've seen in jiu-jitsu, half guard, close guard, etc., etc. If I do them without a human being involved, here's my close guard, here's my half guard. Okay? So go for what we just said. Control is someone existing between your knee and your armpit. What is the distance right now between my knee and my armpit? Quite massive. Okay? which means I'm leaving myself open for massive amounts of control. This is my close guard. This is my half guard. See the difference? I have a lower appetite for risk. I don't want people to pass. So, Henry, if I have close guard on Henry, here, okay? If he postures up and I hold on like this, the only thing that's saving me now from being passed is my ankles. If he just opens my ankles and then just gets over my knee ever so slightly, I'm now no longer recovering this. I've given control to him, and I've got to now have a counter move for this situation. I've got to go through my big Rolodex of techniques. I've got to ask my coach, what do I do when this happens? And you have to have an answer for this situation. But the answer is always the same. Don't let that leave this. So when I play close guard and I have my appetite for risk is being tested and he postures, okay, I'm cool with this. Did you get anything? No. Half guard. Why do you think we played knee shield? Because I don't want him touching between my knee and my armpit. Same with this leg here. If I bury this leg deep underneath, I've now exposed my appetite for risk. If he just sticks his knee in my hip, he's already got half control on this side. If he escapes his leg on the other side, I'm going to get passed. So having my knee here, and having that awareness that if he touches any part past my knee, I have to clear it. Okay? So now everything I do is a jab and a cross. Okay? I can play all my guards quite short, and I throw my attacks this way. And when he tries to pass, so spot, I don't care if I didn't lose it, okay? If I have no faith in my defense, and no faith in my understanding of this position here, then I stress my attacks too much. You imagine boxing if you didn't know how to hide your chin. You throw punches all the time. That's what beginners do, okay? Because you know if you stop throwing punches, you're probably going to get hit because you don't know how to hide your chin. It's the exact same when you see a beginner play guard. They throw every guard they can and they grip onto it with dear life because they know if they let go, they're probably going to get passed because they have no faith in their open guard. They have no faith in their defense. The understanding of this idea. That makes sense? Okay, so by accident, that's the cure for every guard pass. You understand your appetite for risk. You understand the further this is, the easier it is for a pass. By definition, a guard pass is someone getting past your legs. It's very easy to get past your legs if you leave your knees miles away from your shoulders. Okay, so shorten your guards. Feel your appetite for risk. Play your guards like strikes, like boxing. And every time you feel vulnerability, return them. Okay? And all of a sudden you find your guard will improve. But what if then, if someone does get past your legs, and this is what we're going to go on to next, side control. Again, side control, as Christian taught yesterday, was how to climb pretty much deeper into the armpits, essentially. So the opposite of that would be, don't let them there. So we're going to look at position, it's amazing pre-technique, running man. So, the position itself, here. It's amazing. So, I'll explain the position, and all you're going to do then is poke your partner a few times, and we're going to come back and we'll add it into context. So, my bottom leg is at a right angle to my body. So my body is here, and my leg comes out at a right angle. The purpose of this, I can't get rolled onto my front at all. My second leg, on the ball of my foot here, covering my knee. My elbow, and this is why I'm not wearing a gi, it's much easier to explain here because you can see the details, is about 2 fingers worth sticking out the top of my hip. The reason for this, you have the urge to frame on the inside of your leg. This is a mistake. The simple reason being there's a line where your quad is here. If I have my elbow on the inside there, it's very easy to pummel onto the inside and get back into this space. My elbow is 2 fingers on the outside. It's very, very hard to get there, okay? If after a good session you ever see me, I have got a bruise right here where I've just been driving my forearm into my leg relentlessly. Okay? So that covers this gap here. Next is my shoulder. Put it out the back, and I go chest, half chest to the floor. Nipple to the floor. Here. Purpose of this is my elbows ever so slightly sticking out the back. Here. Not enough to get fingers in, but enough that I can't get rolled backwards anymore. So, Henry, can I borrow you, please? So if Henry tries to push me onto my front, I don't have to resist this. My structure allows me to be safe here. If he tries to pull me backwards, it's quite difficult because my elbow and my shoulder is in the way. If I was here, on my shoulder, I get pulled back and the gaps reopen. Okay? My shoulder, my chest proud, exposed here, very difficult. Also, it kind of closes up this gap here. If I'm up on my shoulder, very difficult to put my head to the floor. Here, it's quite easy. Okay? So this position here, and all you want to do is your partner just go poke your armpits and see if they can find them. Nope, nothing there. Okay? So you're going to do is lie in this position, shoulders sticking out the back, other one, 2 fingers flush of your hip, face down, bottom leg at a right angle, top leg covering. Okay? Off you go. 2 minutes. It covers the leg for leg. I float with it, but I understand what I said. Yeah. Does that make sense? Yes. All of a sudden, it feels quite difficult to find these positions. So, if you're looking from a context then of your guard has just been passed, just because someone got past your legs does not mean they passed your guard. Okay? There's a grey area in Jiu-Jitsu where we drill all our side control defense from head and arm control. Seems quite dumb. Okay? All of a sudden, we're in this predicament solution style of training. We put ourselves in this predicament and we try and apply a solution. And if that's all you were ever taught, you pretty much wait sometimes for side control to happen so you can apply a side control escape. But if someone passes your legs, again, that should be just an instant sign that I have to abandon now playing guard and go into this defensive mode, covering, okay? That's why I explain this in the way of boxing. So we're now going to add this to a bit of context. So where's Henry? There he is. Okay, I want to play guard. Okay, open guard, close guard, really don't care. But examine your appetite for risk, and the second you feel too vulnerable, go straight into the position we just did. Okay, the running man position. So I don't mind if you are super, super early with this. It's better to be super early and safe than super late and just getting wrecked. Okay? When I first started playing with this, like, if there's a slight breeze outside, that was enough for me to trigger going to running man. Okay? Like, anything. You know, a bit of hair could roll past me, that'd be a trigger for me to go to running man. Like, I didn't care if I was too early. So I'd be playing guard, and all of a sudden I'd just like, and hide. Okay? Like, I don't care if you do that, it's funny, but he's not winning. Like, I'm not necessarily winning either, but he definitely isn't winning. Eventually, you'll feel your appetite for risk, and you'll step out longer and longer and longer, so eventually you can play some decent level guard and understand where your vulnerabilities are and instantly return to this kind of position. So what you're going to do is you're going to play guard, as you just have. Play, you know, if you're with a partner where you have a superior guard and they cannot pass, have a momentary brain lapse and let them pass anyway. Otherwise, it's just a weird, like, drill that no one gets anything out of. So play your guard as you normally would. Don't really care what kind of guard player you are. But the second you feel vulnerable, the second things feel a bit wrong to you, drop into this position, okay? And see how fast side control dies. So it's like almost like sparring, but I'm a winner. Okay? Make sense? Off we go. 2 minutes. Enjoy. That's my next thing. Yeah.
but we'll figure out.
Let me just give me time. Has to be any during open mat.
Okay. So a question I was just being asked questions. What ifs? I love what ifs. What if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And that's like a side effect of jiu-jitsu training. We always want an answer technique to an issue, okay? Except pretty much all the issues you're just generating were answered by what I've already said. As you're saying, oh, what if I pull them back this way and get my knee in? Well, the answer was then to not put them in there in the first place. That's what I said. That's the idea of this class. If someone generates a gap, that's good. That's timing now. It's no longer a question of knowledge, it's a question of timing. You guys come to me saying, is there a technique to deal with this? Well, yeah, I'm sure there is. But the base answer, the fundamental answer doesn't change. You do not let anyone between there and there. So chaos will happen. Rolling is chaos. Mad things will happen. But the answer remains the same. And you can unravel pretty much anything in jiu-jitsu by applying this idea. So if I get to play side control, for example, Henry is like my experiment. I've never taught him how to do a side control escape as a blue belt. It's quite funny. I don't need to anymore. So if say he has generic side control on me. So here's in between my knee and my armpit. So instead of now going through this big Rolodex of techniques of, oh, well, if his arm's here, you can like roll them this way. But if his weight's too far the other way, I can roll him this way. Or if his arm is behind my neck, I can do some sort of weird bridge this way. Or if his knee's not next to my hip, I can... How many times do you like go through how many side control escapes you know? It's bonkers. Okay? In a roll, you almost wait for these scenarios to happen to apply the thing that you know. Except right now, the answer remains the same for me, in chaos. Okay? So if we spar, and I can just get him out of the gap between my armpit and my knee, I'm free. Make sense? So if we're sparring, so general sparring. No longer is it a question of knowledge, it's a question of timing. He's got to control that space and not let me have it back. If he messes up and releases that space even for a second, I'll capitalize on it and close him out of it and never let him have it back again. Now it becomes a question of timing. The difference between a base level boxer and Floyd Mayweather is just timing, okay? They're both trying to cover their chin. It's not a question of knowledge, okay? It's just how fast and how disciplined the other person is at covering it, okay? So no longer is jiu-jitsu a question of an art. If you apply this, it's a sport. Okay, you can give a base white belt this knowledge, and now they have the same defensive abilities as a black belt. Just their timing's not as fast. Okay? They panic more. They expose themselves. But if you can be disciplined and work on your timing, you'll get better and you'll have a black belt level of defense quite fast. So say the question I got asked. I'm in this position, but someone pulls me back into cradle, okay, and tries to pull me back really aggressively. Okay. I don't get what the problem is here. He still has nothing. And if he wants it, he's going to have to find a way of opening this space. If I suddenly go, then yeah, I deserve what's about to come my way. This happens. But if I can just chill and think, well, he hasn't got anything. He's not in that space. I'm okay. I'll wait for him. He has to let go at some point. I move. If they pull me back super aggressively, I'll overcommit and go the other way. He can't push me into the floor and pull me at the same time. That's not physically possible. Okay? So if I give him enough to work with, okay, this is what becomes timing and bait. If he's aggressively pulling me back, cool, I'm going to go this way. Then I'll do this. And come out the back door. Because if he wants to get control of me, again, he needs to find that space. So here and here are absolutely fine. Like, please, take my back. Go. No. And I'm back to where I was. So you can pull me as much as you want, so I'm just going to wind them up. The other question, gi chokes. And this is what I wanted to drill, because I said I'd show you all defenses. So we've already covered positional defense. Don't let them there. That's why this is why shrimp happens, by the way. So first you learn shrimping. Why? We're pushing them out of that space. It's like an active version of it. So if Henry's past my garden, I go to shrimp. Here. For the camera. So you can see. I'm getting them out of that space. If I lose my posts here, instead of just going smash and it goes, and this happens, I hide it again. The first thing you ever learn as a cycle escape is this. Shrimping. What am I doing? Getting them out of the space between my armpit and knee. You do this. You all do this already. I'm just adding the why. And making you think more in the sense of, it's no longer a question of knowledge, it's a question of timing. But gi chokes. Your back thing set. You get asked this question a lot when you do this. What about gi chokes, such as collar chokes or bow and arrow chokes, etc.? Again, control. If I do not have control of his hips, there's no reason for him to stay in this choke. Despite the nomenclature, the wording, it is not a collar choke. It is an anchor point. I can cross-collar him without a gi. Okay? It's not a collar. If you try and pull someone's collar around your neck, you're an idiot. Again, anchor. Well, I can use my forearms on him, and I stop him from turning. Okay? So there's no difference between a collar, a shoulder, a bicep, a hand. I'm holding on to something to anchor against. Okay? So I've got something to anchor against and something to stop him from turning. Okay? If I do not get control of the space between his armpit and knee, I have nothing that will stop him from turning. So remove my foot. So I could be here going, I'm going to choke him now. And watch what happens. That looks a bit dumb. So I don't care if someone goes for my collar. If they haven't got the timing to hunt for this at the exact same time, I'm just going to get out. I can't remember the last time I collar choked Henry. That's super annoying. So if he's in running man, I'm here. You think, haha, that's it. Chris and Peter wrong. Oh. So, that feels so stupid. Go back. So do it slowly. So, all he did, if I could get into this space and stop him from turning in any way, then yeah, I'm going to get my choke. It's not a question of timing. To actually go for his neck and try and save his neck with his hands is actually giving me what I want. Human beings react with instinct. Jiu-jitsu people react with skill. Okay? You have to overcome the instinct to go and save your neck to get out of this choke. So here, he's accepted I have his collar. Now all he's going to do, so do it slowly, act like he's a pull motor. And follow the grip. And all of a sudden I'm here. He looks at me, I look at him. It's weird. If I get annoyed and go for his collar this way, I think he's going to get paper sliced. This happens. And he looks at me again, it's weird. That's why the chokes we have work the way they do. When we go for a bow and arrow, we have to make, just grabbing onto his pants here doesn't work, okay? He will spin in his pants. Look, that's really annoying, okay? So, I have to be here in this space, holding him super tight. I'm hooking my heel into his hip to stop that rotation. Here, now spin. Ain't happening again. Okay? If I'm slack with this and he just gets rid of my foot, he's out. How odd. Paper cutters. Sorry. If I grab hold of his gi here, I need something to stop him from turning. Where am I? Yeah, to his armpit and his knee. I kill the rotation, I get my choke. If I do not have this, and he pummels out, he just goes, look at me. It's going to be weird again. As you just explained, gi and no-gi chokes are the same thing. They're anchor points. So shouldn't the answer be the same as well? So if I go for a rear naked on Henry, in the second, this is my collar choking hand, pretend we're in no-gi now, and I want here. It means I need something to stop the rotation. If he now just turns to here, no choke. I may crank his face a little bit, may hurt his neck, but there's no choke. He's now got a way out. Now all of a sudden it's no longer a question of knowledge. Like, coach, how do I get a rear naked chokes? It's a question of timing. If he can cover that space, and I go for that rear naked choke, he could have, if you've rolled with me this week so far, you've probably seen me do this to you. Of sitting in this kind of position with my head up, and just do it. Just so I can annoy you. I'll go to here, I'm going to turn in, and I'm like, that's so annoying. Okay? But if I can kill the rotation, why think we have hooks? These aren't just lip service. I'm not just sticking them here just because I like points. I'm actually actively pulling his hips back. So when I go for here, because I know he wants to rotate this way, this is now actively pulling him in. Okay? Try and turn. No. Because I know what he wants. I know the answer to all this. So again, no longer is it a question of knowledge, it's a question of timing. If he allows me into this space, because he's an idiot and wants to use his hands to defend the choke, cool, thank you. Now my life is easier. I kill the rotation, and we get our choke. That make sense? So, all we're going to do then is we're going to kill all chokes from here. If you have a gi on, fantastic. It makes it so much easier. Your partner is just going to grab you around the collar, maybe say some horrible words to you, like this is the end, whatever, and you're just going to do this. And without opening up the space here, try and stop the rotation. So you're going to keep this closed, and I'm going to try and grab something to stop him rotating. And you're just going to keep turning. Nothing will happen. No-gi folk, I respect you all. The second this goes round, turn. This is why we do this defense, by the way. Again, I haven't taught you anything. So it makes this really funny. I've taught class on nothing, you're all still listening. If you imagine the most basic back defense. Get your back to the floor. Okay, get my back to the floor, coach. So let me go. Just no. Here. Why are we doing this? What have I done? I've turned. I got my shoulder into his chest. He's no longer choking me. How odd. We do this already. I'm just now giving you the reason why you're doing this. Okay? So again, we've looked at deep in the situation. We've put ourselves in this ridiculous circumstance of this really deep problem when the answer is very obvious from the beginning. The second I feel vulnerable, and Henry tries to take my back. Choke me, please. No, he has no control. Your class yesterday, you did the same thing. You're pulling people's hooks out. We do this. He was exactly right. It was amazing. Okay? So all you want to do is try and choke someone when you have no hooks or control. Okay? Feel rotation. Turn towards the arm that's choking you. See what happens. Especially if you're in a gi, it's like a pull motor. They pull, just spin. Okay? Don't resist it, just let it happen. Make sense? Right, 3 or 4 minutes, off you go.
The cool thing is, There's situations where then when I go, no, but that means
There is. It's timing.
when I come here now it's up to turn.
All these other things I'm doing are like snippets of much larger classes, okay? So the open guard stuff is like 4 hours, side control defense and running man is probably about 4 hours, back defense is probably about 3 or 4 hours. All I'm trying to do is just spark like an interest in you that you know more than you think, okay? That the techniques you have now have context. So you can look at a class, apply what you've learned, it all fits the same criteria. But then when you're rolling in chaos, even if you can't get 100% the technique that you were shown from one of the coaches, you can still apply the idea, okay? The idea still apply what they're doing. They're still stripping out the person from that space, okay? So, next thing I was going to want to explain is guard passing, okay? How to pass guard without anything being scored. As I said at the beginning, control is whoever exists between the knee and the armpit of the other person. There's a slight peculiarity with guard, is that it's also who controls behind your knee. Okay? So, Henry, everybody please. So we've already established close guard. He is in between this space. Then you have all the other guards, such as half guard. Oddly enough, where is he? Jelly Heaver. He might not be between here, but he is behind my knee, okay? So every guard requires you to kind of be here, right? Have this kind of control either behind the knee or inside the hip. If you go on your phones afterwards and type in BJJ guard pass, I can guarantee it'll follow this formula. The person who's doing the pass gets rid of the other person between their knee and their armpit or behind their knee, and then climbs into the space between the other person's knee and armpit. It follows that formula, it has to, okay? So now applying this idea to chaos of a jiu-jitsu roll. If I don't want him to get guard on me, I never let him in that space. I glue my heel into my ass, I make sure this is closed up. Now, it's half guard. Del Hiva? No? Close guard. Why combat base exists. These things already exist. It's just quite funny. So again, you apply this idea backwards. Okay, so anytime anyone starts to wrap up this space, you just undo it. Okay? So if he manages to get his leg behind my knee, for example, like a reverse Del Hiva, I'm like, what's the reverse Del Hiva escape I know? As you do that, you're going to get swept and murdered. The answer's still the same. Oh, it's behind my knee. That killed it quite fast. Half guard. You're sitting in this space, I'm like, half guard. Z guard defenses, what am I supposed to do? So if you approach guard like this, why don't we pass like this? It's resting, okay? So, Henry, I want you to single leg me without touching the back of my leg. Stand up. Do not touch the back of my leg. Just single leg me. Exactly. Why I think in wrestling the first thing you learn is to stand like this and sprawl. Is to hide this and hide this. You don't learn single legs by being put into single legs and then try and figure your way out. You kill it very early on. It becomes a game of bait and timing, not counter moves all the time. So that's why when you wrestle, you have to wrestle, you don't let people there. If he goes for my single leg or double, I kill it. I don't wait for him to get a single leg and then go, what do I do now? Do I do some sort of forward roll? No. You get them out of that space. It's the first thing you learn. So come back, single leg. Get rid of them. Don't care how. Okay? It's the exact same with guard. So here's my resting stance. Here's my guard passing. Make sense? So what we're going to do now, again, you haven't looked at the technical knowledge behind it. Go back with your partners. For the benefit of the person on top, person on the bottom, play open guard, go for guards. Person on top, it's your drill, it's your benefit. It's in a sparring, like resistance level. Do not let them, in any way, shape or form, go behind your knee, or between your knee and your armpit. And see how little control they get. You don't have to pass, just don't let them get it. Make sense? Off you go. Does that make sense? Even a little bit. Your timing may be off, your appetite and your respect for vulnerability may not be as sharp, but you can see where it all lives. You probably were already doing passes you may have seen but haven't done before or already do now. Okay? They follow this protocol, this theory. Okay? So last one, because I said defend everything. So far I've defended all guard passes, all guards, all positions, and chokes. Pretty good. I guess I've got a few more minutes. Now defend all, I'm going to do a heel hook class on Saturday. Please come down, I'll actually get into more theory. But all joint locks. Okay, so the furthest joints that can be attacked on my body are my wrists and my ankles. They are the furthest of my extremities. Yep, good. I am a normal human. Definition of a joint lock is control not after the joint which you think you want. When you do an arm bar, I'm not after the elbow. I want dominion, I want control of the wrist and the shoulder. If I do not have either of those things, I do not have an arm bar. If I want the wrist, I need control of the elbow and the hand. If I do not have either of those, I have no wrist lock. So, if the ankle and the wrist are the furthest things that can be controlled, submitted, which means the next available joint they need to control to finish these locks are my elbow and my knee. How odd that me doing this and never letting anyone into that space hides both my knee and my elbow, which by process of elimination then means they will never be able to submit my wrist or my ankle. So, Henry, ankle lock please. You can do all the cool technical stuff like putting the boot on and yada 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 yada, but if I never let him have my knee, okay? Ankle lock, finish. Go, finish. Break my ankle in front of all these people, prove you're awesome. Go. No, he hasn't got it. He needs my knee. He needs my knee locked. Now he can go for his ankle lock. That's why you go belly down sometimes, so you can escape the knee. If I never let him have my knee, ankle lock me. Break it, break it. Break it in front of all these people on camera. No. If he wants anything higher, heel hooks, knee bars, he needs my hip. Okay? That's awfully high. That means he's really got into this space. If he wants an arm lock, if he wants a Kimura, or Americana, or armbar, okay? He's gonna need this space. I never let him there. So he won't wrist lock me, he won't ankle lock me, he can't knee bar me, can't arm bar me, can't omoplata me, can't Kimura me. What can he do? Base answer to Kimura. North South. Here. Where is he? So what would be the answer? No Kimura. Does that make sense? If do a back step heel hook from knee slice. Prove you can do it. Cool, it's a heel hook. Okay. Do it again. Guess I needed my knee. So all you're going to do now, go for those furthest extremities, ankles and wrists. Do not let them have control of these. Same position again. I'm aware that I'm eating into open mat time. Do you want me to shut up?
No.
No! Okay, thank you. That's nice to hear. Okay, so last drill, like 2 minutes. Go for these furthest joint locks. Again, you don't have to apply techniques. Just apply the concept. Do not let them have control of here to here. Understood? Off you go. Okay, so I promised like how to defend everything in an hour. It's an hour and 5. So sorry. But hopefully that sparked a bit of interest in you. Hopefully it adds context to pretty much most of the things you're going to see in Jiu-Jitsu. Especially this camp is like incredible instructors. Everything that happens bad in Jiu-Jitsu can be traced back to you leaving this open at some point. Okay? As you've just seen. Every choke, every position, every guard, every joint lock. You left that open at some point. You left the door open. Okay? So as Henry can attest at my gym, every time someone comes to me and goes, Chris, I got caught in this, rewind your roll by 3 seconds. I can guarantee if I ask where your elbow was, it wasn't tied to your hip. The safest thing you can do to a white belt is tie them up. I wish that was a joke. Because if you tie a white belt's arms to his body, you can't be submitted anymore. Like I can't remember which Gracie it was. I'm sure it was a Gracie at some point. There's that famous story that they could like tie their arms up and then fight all these black belts and not get submitted. You know why? Because it's a parlor trick. If our arms are locked in there, you're never going to get that space to arm lock me, leg lock me, get a position on me, get a guard on me. It's quite funny. Like, if you want to look like an absolute badass in your gym, tie your arms up. Oh my God, I can't submit him, he hasn't even got arms. Yeah, because there's no arms to submit anymore. There's no positions to find. Okay, so rewind your rolls, okay? You have a great resource here. So many fantastic people from all over the place who can roll with, okay? Examine your rolls, work on your timing, go back 3 seconds from every roll. And if you've messed up, I can guarantee the answer will be, was that tied to air? If it wasn't, there's your answer. Make sense? Thank you for your time.